What is up, guys? So I'll be showing you guys how I install my catalytic cluster on this Silverado. Alright, to start with, you're gonna need a ratchet, an extension, and a 7mm. And you can buy a Torx bit kit in AutoZone. I'm pretty sure they're around like $12-15. And that's all you need for this install. Also, in order for the cluster to function for your truck, you need the pigtail harness, or you could splice into your old harness, and the colors of the wiring should all be the same except one. But if you don't want to do all the splicing, I recommend ordering a pigtail harness from PI Clusters from Texas. And if you live around the California area, I recommend ordering the harness from Easy Clusters. And this is how the harness looks. It's pretty clean in my opinion than splicing, because it just connects to the original harness. Alright guys, so to start with, use your ratchet with the Torx bit. You're gonna have to remove these two screws under this in order to remove this. Once you remove the screws, these have clips all around, so you just pop it up. Once you've done that, put your switch on, lower your shifter all the way down, remove these have clips all the way around. You just remove it all the way around with your hand, and they should come right out. After that, you remove this panel on the side. I know my wrapping skill sucks, guys, but bear with me. Careful, don't try not to break anything, because they have clips. They hold in there. This is just to expose the screws that hold in the cluster. After all the trim panels are off, you should see two screws. That's when your ratchet and extension with the 7mm should come in handy. You start taking them off. Once you got that removed, the trim piece for this piece comes off. It has clips behind here. As you guys can see, you lift up. This exposes the cluster's bolts. So they have 4, 1, 2, and then another down there. Here. So remove all 4 with the same screw. After you remove all 4 bolts, you should be able to flip over the cluster towards you, or lift it up first and then flip it towards you. Once you've done that, you should see the harness. Press this and then pull it out at the same time. It should pop right out. In my opinion, I recommend buying the harness because it looks way cleaner in my opinion. And I'd rather have it original than just, splicing. But everyone's different, guys. But I'm just showing my way and how I did it. Out with the old and in with the new, guys. And also, guys, the catalytic ESCALADE is shaped differently, so you're gonna have to, they usually have the support brackets like those on the side. You're gonna have to trim it off, and you also need to trim this off like slightly just so it could fit, but trim it pretty tight so it won't move, because if you trim it too much it would move around. So I'd say trim it where it'll fit exactly, because you guys can see I trimmed it there so I could slide through, and right here too. That's the one thing I didn't get on camera, guys, and I'm sorry about that, but it's pretty easy. Just trim it and that's about it. It should fit right in. But once you've done that, if you have the harness, it should be plug and play, guys. You guys, so all you got to do is connect them like this, and there you go. And just tuck it in back in there. You have a lot of space. It should fit in there. After you got it tucked in, guys, moment of truth, make sure it works. Turn your switch off. Way better, guys. In my opinion, this looks way better. All right, so lower your shifter all the way down. After you've done that, you should be able to push it all the way in the middle. After you've done that, put the shifter back to park and turn off the switch. I recommend you guys putting tape here, because I ended up damaging my plastic, but either way I'm gonna get it repainted, so it's no biggie, guys. But if you guys are not gonna repaint yours, I recommend covering it with tape or something thick, so you know it won't end up getting scratched like I did. Overall fitment, as you guys can see, it's in there flush. It doesn't move, or a little bit if you push it hard enough, but it doesn't move. It's pretty in there. It's pretty much stuck in there, as you guys can see. After you got the cluster where you want it to be, it shouldn't move at all. And the bolts you're not going to use anymore, the ones for the old cluster, so I'd recommend putting them back like that. Well, more inside. I'm just showing you guys an example. Just hand tightening them. You don't have to tighten them all the way. And that's in my opinion. I wouldn't do it that way. In my opinion, I would just put it back, because honestly, I'm not going to use them, and I'd rather have them back where they're at in case of something than just laying around. So basically, after what I did, I put all the screws back in, the ones I'm not going to use, because the clutcher shouldn't move at all, guys. I have it on there tight. After that, you just put everything back to where it was. Once you got the side trim panels on, one thing I'm going to mention to you guys is the trim piece on the old cluster does not work at all. As you guys can see it. As you guys can see, I'll show you guys. This is not gonna work at all, since this is for an Escalade and this is for the old one. So they're way different. So you won't be needing these and the screws that go with it as well. Also, the screws that go in the cap, you won't be needing them as well. So I'd recommend you putting the old screws in there. Once you've done that, they have clips, as you guys can see. You see the clips? It should click right in, guys. Okay, so far so good, guys. After the cap is installed, it's starting to look good. One thing I forgot to do, I didn't forget to do, I just haven't had time, guys, is you will need the Cadillac Escalade bezel, and you would have to trim it out, and it should look way better. You're gonna be left with this gap, and you know, honestly, I know people that like their trucks clean. I'll leave a link in the description where you could buy it, but it's on eBay. It's an Escalade bezel, basically. It'll cover the gap. Once you got that, you should be all set. It should look way better. All right, so moment of truth. Let me start it up for you guys one more time. I like how the needles go all the way out and then go back. On the old cluster, it never did that. But honestly, in my opinion, guys, if you want to stand out, look different, I recommend getting the cluster. It's just really nice. Everything works on this cluster with the buttons. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the service suspension system and the parking assist. My truck doesn't come with sensors, so that's why that pops up. And also the service suspension system, that's part of the Cadillac Escalade. They had sensors and stuff, and that's why it's popping up. I tried messing with it and trying to get rid of it, but I can't. So, you know, I just got used to it. That's one downfall about this cluster, is that those pop up when you start it up. But either way, I just use the buttons to get rid of it. So, as you guys can see, the buttons work. Trans tab. For the miles part, guys, your old cluster is not going to transfer the miles you had on this cluster. So basically, this cluster has 168,000 miles on the old truck it was in. So if you guys end up selling your truck, I recommend you guys flashing it to the same miles it had. In this case, I'm never gonna sell my truck, so what I usually do is just keep track on how much miles I have. So either on a notebook or on your notepad on your iPhone, just make sure you either flash it or you keep track of your old miles. But everything else works besides that. As you guys can see, everything works. Speedometer works, as you just can see. I'll show you guys here how it looks at night. You can see the speedometer, it's really accurate. Yeah. You know, just like slight pulls here and there. But you know, I say the cluster is well worth it in my opinion. What do you guys think? Drop the comments down below. The only downside about this cluster is that The old one shows you the oil pressure. Here, I'll show you guys. You guys can see that one it shows you the oil pressure and the voltage for the battery. And this one just shows you the gas and then the temperature. And later on, what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna pre-wire the voltage and the oil pressure to some gauge pods. I wanna make sure my oil pressure is reading right. Oil pressure is always important, guys. Voltage is not as much, but oil pressure, make sure you guys check your oil. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. If you guys have any questions, drop it down in the comments below. Later on in the year, I will be changing my steering wheel to one of these. And if you guys want to see the process on that, like, comment. Look at that bird. And I will be recording the process on how to do it, guys. So just stay tuned for that. And any questions, guys, drop it down in the comments below.